Way back in the land of gap teeth, choppy do-it-yourself haircuts, and an everlasting wonder in swear words, we all packed on to a smelly bus, heading off to an incomparably smelly place. Every elementary school student ever born within the confines of this town wrapped in fields has taken the obligatory trip to the zoo. On this jaunt, I encountered the stingray exhibit, a bizarre petting zoo of sorts, where people were permitted to interact with cow-nosed stingrays and spotted bamboo sharks, running hands against the slimy backs of these exotic creatures. Way back then, I was absolutely enthralled with the opportunity. Looking back on it, the fact that zookeepers permitted and even encouraged this is questionable, to say the least. Old photographs depict a sassy, messy-haired little Ellie reaching into shallow waters, one chubby finger resting on the slippery surface of a broad stingray, grinning ear to ear. The Ellie of July 2016, still sassy, still messy-haired, was anything but grinning ear to ear upon receiving the news of a pump malfunction at the Grand Rapids Zoo, leading to the death of all 18 stingray and 3 sharks. 54 stingray had died due to similar causes at the Brookfield Zoo in Chicago the year previous. If these animals had only been where they belonged, such a tragedy never would have occurred. The ocean never malfunctions. These instances are just a couple very close to my own heart, which present one of the many problems depicted by wildlife parks and the like. Always having been compelled by a strong love for animals, I've learned a lot about the diverse range of creatures we share our planet with. But it wasn't until just recently that I decided to really delve in and educate myself on some of the cruelest injustices facing the animal planet today and for thousands of years preceding. The plight of animal confinement has been overlooked for far too long. I'm here today to speak to you all about the negative effects of animal confinement. I will also address some serious incidents involving zoo animals and some plot holes in the claims made by zookeepers and other spokesmen. A common belief is that these establishments are present for sake of educational purposes, because the average person is much more likely to afford a ticket to the zoo versus a safari trip to observe these animals in their natural habitat. But the truth of the matter is that one cannot learn about wild animals based upon what is depicted of their lives in confinement. As Paul Tillis of the New York Times Magazine says, even some zoo directors admit that they are failing the animals that are their reason for existence, as the main interface most people have with live, undomesticated animals is fast becoming irrelevant, bearing about as much resemblance to the natural world as Disneyland has to Detroit. Moreover, research shows that nearly 95% of people cannot claim to have a deeper understanding of biodiversity than they walked into the zoo with, according to Mark Bekoff of LiveScience.com. Maybe. There we go. Okay, so this graph shows the amount of visitor viewing time spent at each animal exhibit. As you can see, the average time spent is around 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes, with any time more than that on a steady decline. This is basically to say that people are not spending enough time at each exhibit to really have an educational experience. Our best option to truly learn about wild animals is to pay the $8 a month for Netflix to watch the Discovery Channel. I know I'd rather view reality through a television screen than some ersatz Animal Planet through a plexiglass barricade, especially now, having knowledge of the inadequacies such circumstances present. One common obstacle zoo animals face is a condition referred to as zoochosis. Not that. That's not what zoochosis looks like. There we go. According to wisegeek.org, the word is a portmanteau of zoo and psychosis, reflecting the fact that some captive animals do indeed become psychotic. More commonly, these animals exhibit signs of extreme psychological conditions as they struggle with the confines of their captivity. Common symptoms include repetitive or neurotic behaviors, including head bobbing, nervous pacing, or self-mutilation, while others suffer severe depression. A government-funded study in the UK showed that zoo lions spend 54% of their time pacing, an exhibit of mental instability. Who can blame them when the largest lion enclosure in any zoo in the entire world covers a mere 1/1,000,000th of the space available to the species in the wild? I cannot fathom how mentally taxing this must be. Beasts of the wild turn circus sideshows and the very brief center of human attention. introduction of wild beasts into a place of human residency is not only absurd, but furthermore, an action laced in the promise of catastrophe. Too many times, some unsuspecting toddler or ignorant stone thrower has fallen into an animal enclosure, resulting in either the death of the person or the prisoner. In some cases, such as that of a 22-year-old man who jumped into a white tiger exhibit, authorities may not have timely access to the situation, leading to the death of a visitor. However, keeping visitors in mint condition to avoid lawsuit is usually in best interest. So as in the case of internet sensation and dearly departed Harambe, it won't be the person that loses their life. Zoos are said to exist for educational purposes and the breeding and conservation of endangered animals. But after years of poorly executed attempts at life-saving, it may just be time to call it quits. Animals have withstood years of repetitive pacing, severe depression, and other mental discomforts, the manifestation of zoochosis. Beforehand, many were subject to the drastic change from expansive acreage of open space to faux waterfalls and plexiglass surroundings. Others were killed along the way, be it an escaped attempt gone wrong or the plight of a bullet to the head. While zoos claim to be in the best interest for educational and conservational efforts, the straight facts and statistics point entirely opposite of this. There are so many alternatives for endangered species conservation that zoo confinement may be in fact the least favorable. Make a change and skip the trip. Thank you.